This is the Pyro Prince Juni Underwood, and you are lighting it up with the 3 Count Podcast.
Welcome everyone to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain cold wrestling. And with this being season 6 and our 400th and something episode, I would just hope you say it with me. I am your Sherpa, because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering? You can find this man at NFW, SMW. You can find him at IGB, FWA, CZW, Enjoy, LVACETU, AAOPPW, and UCW. He is the fire starter. He is your friendly neighborhood fire starter. He is also the Pyro Prince. He is Juni Underwood.
Yeah, man. I like that. You did your homework. I like it. I'm a fan. That was fun. That was nice.
Hey.
Glad to be on with you.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm so hyped because the one thing about it is too is that we've ran into each other at like Focus Pro. We ran into each other at the IGB, and I was like, yo, every time we chop it up, it always feels like we ain't seen each other in like a hot minute, but it's like we've never missed a beat. Even the first time that we talked, it just seemed like we were just like hit off like we hadn't seen each other in years. We just picked up and just ran with the ball. So no, I was like, of course I got to bring Juni on because like I enjoy having conversations with this man, and it's always a treat. So I was very grateful that you said yes, you come on the show and chat up with me.
Yeah, man. It's really my pleasure. Like I don't typically do podcasts often, and a large part of it is just because like I don't have a lot of time. I really don't. Not right now. Like I work a full-time day job, and then I'm on the road on the weekends, like grinding out. Like you said a lot of places, and a lot of those places are like across, getting into Midwest territory, and like up in like I've done a bunch of stuff up in Canada recently. So like I'm doing a lot, but I wanted to do this with you because I was like, kind of my guy. So
hell yeah. Well, no, man, because like what makes it cool is that your character is like so unique. It's the aspect of like watching, Avatar, and then you get to mix in like a little bit of, like Marvel. So we could just call it with the Human Torch, right? And Iron Fist, and mix in, even who am I thinking of really quick? Off the top of my head.
a little Spider-Man.
Yeah. You have
like,
a lot of like
yeah.
You have a great blend of like characters, but I was thinking of like there's another fire character that I was looking at outside of Iron Fist, but you have all this beautiful Shang-Chi. How can I forget that? But you have all this beautiful blend, yeah, and I love it. So I was like, yo, how did you? Okay, so one, I would ask who is Juni Underwood, and we can get into that, but like, how did you blend so much of all your favorite stuff into one character?
So when I started wrestling, I kind of knew what I wanted my style to be, and I knew who I wanted to not necessarily replicate, but pay homage to. And in some ways, my moveset replicates his, or my moveset. I'll say moveset is fine. The things that I do in the ring replicate like Chris Sabin. Like Chris Sabin's my favorite wrestler. And then followed right behind is Adam Cole and Shawn Michaels. So like those three, I was like, okay, can I do this? And then of course I was trained by Speedball Mike Bailey. So Speedball Mike Bailey and Cheeseburger. So I kind of have this like, I already knew the wrestling part was already figured out kind of. And now it's who am I? Who am I outside of being the Pyro Prince? And then how can I be a character that represents me as well? Like, how can I be as like authentically me while also being a completely fictional character? Yeah. Which is incredibly hard for like a lot of people to kind of fathom, like think of, because it's hard. It's hard to be creative in a world where we feel like everything's already been created.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, yeah, ask your question real quick because I think it's good.
Well, it was more of a statement, kind of like I kind of understand like where you're coming from as far as like blending the character side of everything, because you mentioned like your character is an homage, your wrestling style is an homage, and it's funny because like my wrestling character himself is actually an homage to Ryan Reynolds,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
I love being that quirky, just sidetracked quips coming off the brain kind of character, and I think it's hilarious.
Yes. So with the characters and like where I was going to get to with wrestling, what I think we have to do now, because everything in wrestling's like kind of been done, right? Like it's been around for a really long time. But what's not really been done is taking characters from other forms of media. There's so many forms of media outside of wrestling. So taking the best attributes of them and applying them. Like I've literally done like multiple variations of a Zuko story kind of everywhere I've gone. Like if you ever go back and watch 880, I was I was basically just Zuko turning a leaf, and now I'm like trying to help MV. When I first got there, I was trying to kind of destroy MV. So like now we've done this like interesting thing, and my journey in CZW is also kind of the same because when we showed up at CZW, I was just kind of wrecking house and being kind of a jerk to everybody, and now I'm like kind of becoming a little lovable jerk that like isn't a jerk necessarily. He just doesn't know better. Um, but that also resonates with me a lot as a human and as I grew up. I've had a weird upbringing, all of us probably have in reality. But the way in which I was raised, um, I kind of had a hard time realizing there were consequences for my actions, like that I was affecting other people with the way I would respond and react to things. Well, the way I would react to things, I wouldn't respond to them, I would react to them.
Yeah.
And so I resonated a lot with characters like Zuko, characters like Vegeta, uh, characters like, well, you said him, like Iron Fist, like all these characters that were typically like strike first, don't really ask questions. Um, those were the types of characters that I was drawn to. And similarly, like with Spider-Man, Spider-Man's my favorite superhero. Uh, and so like taking the characters from these other forms of media and figuring out how to blend them into this new realm of media, because Zuko wasn't a professional wrestler. None of them were professional wrestlers outside of Spider-Man for 3 minutes, with Bonesaw.
Bonesaw is
Bone,
ready.
uh, so hope you don't mind me eating Sour Patch Kids. They're my little pre post gym treat. Get carb in me. Simple sugars. I meant to eat it while I was in the gym, but a little treat for post gym is not a bad thing.
I'll tell you this though. So I don't know if you know, but before every show that I have a bag of gummy bears with me.
Man, gummy bears. I love gummy bears. Oh, gummy
Bro,
bears.
it helps me with my anxiety. So like I suffer from high anxiety.
Uh,
Um, and
I'm like,
so yeah, for me, like I'll just be snacking on gummy bears in the back as like my nerves start to calm down. Because we'll be calling matches and stuff, and then my mind's racing all over the place. And I have to start like eating gummy bears just to get my mind kind of like calm down, and then like I feel everything kind of enter like go away, and I'll be like, all right, now we can have this match. But yeah, I will literally have a bag of gummy bears, and I'll just be like, like I'll be eating them like a Pez dispenser, bro.
I feel it. I'll get it. I really do. But yeah, man, I just I looked at the world that we're in, and I looked at wrestling, and I need, I can be, I can become a very good wrestler. I can become that, right? Everybody can. Everyone can become a good wrestler in their own right, in their
Yeah.
own way. It's about how you perform, etc. You know, hide your weaknesses. There's things that I'm not good at. I just don't do them. Uh, and that is what will make you a better wrestler. Like, you think the best wrestlers in the world can actually do everything? No, they can't. They actually cannot. They can't. Um, but but they do what they know how to do so masterfully. They know how to place it. They know where to put everything. They know just how to structure. And so you can become a good wrestler. The hardest part is becoming something and somebody that other people can relate to. That's not just this robot that's playing a part. Because I feel like that's what, similar to theater, a lot of people who get into theater, they're acting, but they're just a robot. They're just acting the part. They're
Yeah.
not being the part. They're not becoming the part. So it was very important for me to find these characters that I wasn't just acting as, that I wasn't just kind of emulating, but that were me, just varying parts and taking them and creating this amalgamation of just all the parts that I needed to create this Pyro Prince character, this fire starter, this kid with like burning passion that nobody can replicate. Like I am the physical embodiment of fire and what fire represents. That is me, and that's how I've always been. Like fresh out the womb, I was just a passionate kid, I'm sure, and generating that has been like lately has been amazing just to like listen to and hear all the feedback and how much I've grown and how much people feel like they can relate to me and all of that, which is all I want, because that's how you that's how I'm going to hopefully get somewhere in this business. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and so yeah, you talk about great characters, and that's kind of like what's important is like sometimes great characters don't have to do a whole lot in a ring to like make a name for themselves, right? Like I can a perfect example of it would be Orange Cassidy. Like the man literally doesn't have to do anything, and everybody understands exactly who that is and what he does and what he doesn't do, which is a whole lot. It's up until recently on AEW, you know, like now he's doing a lot more. But there's like other great characters too. Like when we talk about like you can be, you know, your Tribal Chiefs or your Hulk Hogan's or your Rocks or your Stone Colds. Like you know who they are. You've seen what they do. John Cena is another perfect example. They just stand out like through the test of time, and that's essentially where I want to get to too with like my character work is I just want my character to be like when people are like, oh, you didn't wrestle Red Dog, like bro, that dude was just like in a world of his own. Like that dude, he beat his own drum, and that drum that tone was loud and offbeat a lot of the time. Like, you know, I just want people to have that kind of memory of a character. But it's funny because like when we pull from different medias, and I think that's where like the key is when you're pulling from different medias and like inspiring your character, you don't exactly want it to be a copycat because obviously you want to be genuine to yourself. That way the crowd can relate to you. But then you also want to pull like those best aspects, like you had mentioned, those best attributes that come out. Like when I think of like Ryan Reynolds, I think of like his like playfulness and his quirkiness that he has, and then like his off-camera banter that always happens, like in any movie. It just doesn't matter what it is, except for like I guess Amityville Horror. But after that, like everything that he does, he just like stares at the camera, says two things, and then like looks back over, and you're always wondering like who he's talking to. And I think that was something that you did at IGB when you were wrestling Mimi. Um, you you are like you were beating her ass, and like right before you like I forget what you hit her with, but you just stopped, stared, and just looked at the fans, and the fans were like clearly getting ready to boo you, and then you were like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna give you something to boo about," and then you said some shit, and the crowd reacted, and I was like,
Was it when I did the like
"Yeah,
because I like got her because she reversed it, right? But when I pulled her in, I like saw everybody and I was like, bah. Where it's just fun. Like you're being, I love that match, dude. I had so much fun. Uh, um, but I went to the back after the match, and somebody walks up to me and is like, "You had no fun, didn't you?" What do you mean? And they were just like, I'm joking, I'm joking. Like it looked like you had the time of your life because I did, dude. I had, oh my god, that match was just fun. Like it was one of the first matches. Like I think it's my favorite match that I've had in 2024. Just like from an overall just how loose I was, just how much I breathed like with the audience. Like me and Mimi just worked. Like it was awesome. And I've had some very fun matches with tons of people in 2024. Like I've wrestled Marcus multiple times, and I love wrestling him. I love traveling with Marcus. But like there was just something about that match with Mimi where like so many things just clicked. Like Speedball was even like saying that was one of his favorite matches that he's watched of mine, where he was just like, "You," it was just greatly paced. Like there's just so much about it that I was like, I had so much fun. And a large part of that was also just like, I mean, the very beginning of that match, everybody thought, we were both good guys, good people, good, you know, and that when it changed and like I just took over that character, it was so fun. I was like, I had so much fun, and yeah, it's one of those things like when you lock in, and that's the biggest thing lately. My biggest thing currently has been locking in. Of just like every match, find your character. Stop worrying about all these moves. Like all my moves are gonna have it. I know what I do. I'm aware of what I do. I can do what I can do. The moves that I do on autopilot. I don't really need anyone to help me do them. I can just do them. So that gives room to play. Now I'm just playing. Now I'm just acting. I'm doing my thing. I'm not even acting. I'm feeling the character. I'm letting the character come to life, using my body as a vessel. Like, and once you know yourself, once you know what you're doing, like what your things are, then you're just playing.
Yeah.
Playing's fun. We all love to play.
I had this whole thing where I got to work in this place in Pennsylvania. It's called HWF, Honorary Wrestling Federation, and I got to work Madness of Trip. And while we're there, like him and I were talking in the back about the match and what we're gonna do, this, that, and the other, blah 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 blah. And like randomly, I just started having idea after idea after. I knew all the things I was gonna hit, so I was like, all right, cool, I got all this stuff. And so finally, I was like, yo, bro, I'm gonna put my phone in this kid's pocket, in the referee's pocket. And I was like, okay, why? I was like, well, you're a face, I'm a face. Let's just take a selfie in the ring. And sure enough, the moment like came across, and we were both there, and it didn't even feel like it was forced. It was just a natural movement where we were both talking about like, it's like, yo, this is the third time in 3 different states that we got to work each other. This is great. It's like, hey, and I just reached in this kid's pocket, grabbed my phone, and I was like, we should commemorate this and take a selfie. And so we totally acted like it was a referee's phone. They're like, how did you unlock his phone? It's like, I don't know. And then we took the photo and like
But
the
also,
crowd.
like now, you don't really have to unlock it. You can literally just slide over and just take a picture anyway.
But the crowd popped because they were laughing their ass off about it. And that's where it came in. It's like, yo, it was just great moments for like both of us to like you said, like to be able to play like in the world. And it's just like, I was like, this is where I want to be. Like this is the kind of energy that I want to be having in my matches.
Yeah.
But like another moment, right, for you, because I got to see you. I didn't only see you to see there. I think it's like a week later. You were with, I think, didn't you? Was it you and Steven Garcia at Focus Pro?
Yeah.
Like y'all were the opener, and I was so excited to see you guys there.
Yeah. That
And you're
was
to like,
very fun.
yeah, y'all was having a. I could tell. There's like there's matches that you can watch, and people are like, you can see them constantly thinking about like what's happening and where everything is like flowing. And there's some matches that you're like, bro, they don't give a fuck. They're just out here to light shit up. and that was you guys that night.
That's where I'm trying to be. Like I'm trying to hit that because that's just the work like I need to do. Like my work on my side of our match is I need to let loose. I need to stop letting my anxiety get the best of me. I need to start really just locking in. I know I'm a good professional wrestler. I have that. I have wrestling down. There's always so much to learn, and I study. I study so much all the time. But when it's time, when the bell rings, when my music hits, that anxiety has to go away. It always does, but it has to go away so that I can perform, so that I can do this to the best of my ability. And yeah, I have to do that now. Like that's my every match now. Whether it's a tag, whether it's a 3-on-3, whether it's this crazy CZW scramble gauntlet rumble thing I'm about to do, I have to do it. Like I just have to be me unapologetically. I have to go out there. I know what I'm gonna do. If you're worried about what I'm gonna do, throw a hand up. A kick is coming sooner or later. Just throw a hand up. If you're not worried about it. I have pretty sick control. I learned from one of the best. Like I know what I can do on a technical wrestling level. It's time to be the character. It's time to lock in on that. It's time to have fun because that's what this is. If we're not having fun, we should stop. If you're not learning and you're not having fun, hang your boots up. I'm sorry, you can bleep that out if you need to.
No, 100%. That is staying right there.
I prefer you to bleep it out actually, because I didn't, Anyway.
I openly curse on this show, like just because I want people to know, like
I'm a substitute teacher, so I'd rather.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you don't mind bleeping that for me.
Will post production, I'll put it in.
But anyway, there's so many things that we have going on, and when it's time to wrestle, you've got to lock in, and that's where I'm at the moment. Like every match I have, I act like it's my last one, and I think that's what makes me stand out. I think that's what makes the passion show is I really do wrestle like I'm never gonna ever.
Well, I think that's important too. Like it's something that I've talked about with some other friends too, is just like every time I go somewhere, regardless if I've been there 20 or 30 times or I've been there, it's my first time, I always treat it like it's the first time you're gonna see me.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make it as big as possible. Like obviously I'm not gonna empty out the whole entire repertoire of things I'm gonna hit, but I'm definitely gonna structure my matches and put things in places where you're gonna remember, oh damn, remember when like Red Dog hit that spine buster? I thought he broke the boards underneath like the ring. I thought he broke the ring. Like I want that kind of reaction, but I also want people to know like, hey yo man, like he's just fun and I really enjoy him. Like that's I want to leave those memories. So when I come back and I do it all over again, people are gonna be like, whoa, like he's so much fun. Because I can't wait to be in certain places and just flip to being a heel and just causing chaos.
It'll come.
Yeah. I'm letting all of that flow. That's the thing too. Like again, like I already understand this. It's fun. We've never talked about this. I'm almost 40. So like I can't wait to, I know that my time is limited in the business anyway. So I'm like, whatever, bro. I'm just gonna enjoy this ride and just let it all hang loose. And then, whatever happens, man. At the end of the day, I'm not here. I'm here for a short time, but for a good time. And then I want to make impressions like in this business on a positive front and then just bounce. Just leave this. People be like, holy cow, like that kid came in like a fireball, no pun intended, but came in like a fireball and he left like one. He was like a shooting star. He just like showed up and was like, shoo, peace.
That's really wrestling. That's wrestling in a nutshell.
Yeah. Yo, let me ask you a question because I know this is, I don't know if this is one that you usually get, so I just want to find out what was the moment that made you say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to become a professional wrestler.
So, like, well, there's two moments because, like, when I was a kid, I said I was going to do this. And then I got out of wrestling. And then there was a moment where I was like back in to watching wrestling. And then I was like, there was a moment that I was like, I'm going to go do this. Um, so the moment when I was a kid was literally I watched Chris Sabin counter the Canadian Destroyer. It was really that simple. It was just a story of somebody going, like somebody having a move that's never been countered, never been kicked out of ever, and somebody going, I have a counter, and me going, no, you don't. That's not real. And then him actually having a counter and doing it. And I was just like, I was hooked. I was a Chris Sabin fan for life, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna become a professional wrestler now. And then I grew up. I got to where I was like, I got into high school. I was getting bullied. I stopped watching wrestling. Fast forward, I'm in college. I've adopted doing like theater. I ended up graduating with a theater degree, and
Nice.
I just became more accepting of who I was. And then I ended up getting back into wrestling via Adam Cole. I saw his promo versus Kyle O'Reilly for Final Battle in 2016, and yeah, I was like hooked. And then COVID happened. Uh, I was watching Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano's feud, 2 out of 3 falls match, which is one of, if not like my favorite match of all time. And I just think it's so good, so good,
Mm-hmm.
so good. And the person I was with at the time, uh, she was asking me, what did I want to do when I grew up, or like what did I want to do that I never got a chance to do. And I was like, I did always want to be a professional wrestler. And she was just like, do you still want to? And I was like, I mean, I'd love to, but I just don't think it's like, I don't think it's possible. And
Yeah.
she was like, well, why is it? Like, why wouldn't it be possible? And she looked at me and was just like, if the answer is money, that's not a good reason. Would you still want to do it? And I like thought about it over and over. And then ever since she asked that question, I like couldn't stop thinking about it. And then I just started doing research. And I was like, I'm gonna go be a professional wrestler. And then here I am, 4 years, yeah, 4 or 5 years after the pandemic, right? And I'm
Doing
a
the
professional
thing.
wrestler, and I'm pretty good at it, if I do say so myself. And just up from here, hopefully. So that was it, really. I just, yeah, it just happened. When I was a kid, I knew I wanted to do it. When I grew up, I tried to fight that because of what others said. And then sooner or later, I found it anyway.
Yeah. It's funny because like for me, after I had graduated from college and I was like, all right, well, I graduated from college. What do I want to do? And I was like, I being I was in the military, I had the VA loan, so I was like, yo, I still have some time, so let me go get my master's degree. When I got that done, I was like, I don't really know what to do, whatever. And so, um, after I finished, I was lifting and I saw this kid in the gym, and I was like, yo, what's your name? And once I kind of like started talking to them, they said they loved wrestling. I ran into them a couple more times, and then like that ended up spurring my journey. And it was something because it was funny because when I got out of the military back in 2012, um, the very first job I applied for after I got released from my contract was the WWE as a writer because I was like, I could do this. I could just come up with storylines and things that are happening. We can have some fun and just spitball things and just figure it out. I was like, this could be cool. and it could be something I could learn. And that's all I thought about. And then like when I had the opportunity in 2020, coincidentally, I was like, I'm all over this. There's no way that I'm going to turn this down. I was like, I'm going to do everything I can to make this a reality and then just run as hard as I can into I can't. But I'm gonna ask you another question real quick. What's the worst bump you've taken?
Probably like I took a sunset flip power bomb onto a ladder.
Mm.
If you want it, if you want to add it into post production right here, I'll send you the clip.
I definitely. You know, it's funny because like I always think about doing some of that stuff like in post production, and I just never do. I always just release these interviews. I like like I tell everybody I release the show kind of like the Joe Rogan Experience. I just kind of just let it go and just let it be free. But
My
yeah, that would definitely
F bomb. You gotta bleep that out.
right there. You'll see that clip that he talked about. Like we're definitely gonna add that in there just on top because I want to see. I want to see how it looks because it would definitely be fun.
Dude, try it, man. But it sucked. It sucked. I couldn't walk. Well, I could walk. I just didn't want to, nor did I like it. I had flown from California that day.
Mm.
God awful. Then I did the match. This was for Enjoy, ladder match for Enjoy, 7 people. I took a sunset flip, power bomb onto a ladder. Nick Shin, the ref, and George, the ref, saved my life. Because when I took the bump onto the ladder, the way the ladder was set up, when I landed on the rope, the ladder went like this. So you can see me start sliding down the ladder, and my feet like barely catch the ropes. And if it wasn't for them, I might have just because I was going, I was like a rocket, like I was just right down the ladder. And yeah, that one was tough. I think like I even now like I'm thinking about it and I'm like, yeah, that one sucked. I would do it again, but like I don't want to, you know. I would like to do it for more money than I did it for. Uh, but you know, I did. I did it, and I enjoyed it. I'm a weirdo. I like. I've always had this. I've always had a very like incredibly high pain tolerance. Um, I feel the pain, but I'm able to like endure it. I'm very
Yeah.
good at enduring pain. I guess that's a better thing. Like my pain tolerance is like kind of not that high, but my ability to endure it is pretty high. Um, but yeah, it was just it was fun. It was one of my favorite bumps actually. It sucked. It was the worst bump to take, but it was also one of my favorites because it was just awesome. Uh, I like taking. I'm a big fan of taking higher flip bumps. I just like it. Like anything from the top rope. Like I enjoy taking ranas off the top. Uh, anything like that. Like I don't know. I have good. I can get decent air. I like taking heel tosses. Like just I'm really good at taking like big hip tosses and stuff like that. Definitely if you're like a really big guy and you just want to show off your strength, like I can very easily like you can easily throw me into the opposite corner if you want me to. I've done that on a few occasions. Um, but yeah, I'd say the worst one currently was the sunset flip bomb onto the ladder in my memory anyway.
It's funny because like I love jumping for like big choke slams. Like
Me too. Yeah.
I never thought that I would. Like I remember like I had this incident happen. It was a long time ago. Some of those who know the story, I'll tell you afterwards. But some of those who know the story know exactly what I'm talking about. Um, so I'll say it was a botched choke slam. Just timing was off. It was what it was. But I started practicing like every week after that on doing just like dojo bumps and just like going up as high as I could. and just practicing really like just to focus on my own timing for it. And then I remember being at 1CW and my boy Tiberius like locks in this choke slam and I jump, and I swear on the video it doesn't look like I was as high, but in the moment I felt like I was looking Tiberius like eye to eye while my body was still flat. Like, and then you just hear me hit the ground, boom, and then I bounce back up, and I was like, that sucked. That was so awesome. So like your nagis, bro. Like I tell people all the time, like just please keep controlling me because I'm gonna go as high as I can go, and 9 times out of 10 people lose me midair because I just throw caution to the wind about how high I go. And I jacked up my back one time because like as I was coming down, my the person who was throwing it like didn't keep control, and when I hit, like my shoulder hit first and then my hips rotated and I was like, oh, that sucks. But I love just taking big dojo bumps too. So I'm just like, hit me with a choke slam, I don't care. They're like, well, I'm smaller than you. I don't care, just throw it. Like I just want to do it. Make it make sense.
Right.
Being that you've been in the business, I feel like you've been in the business about as long as I have. What's one of the hardest lessons that you've had to learn being in the business?
How long have you been in the business?
2020.
Okay. Yeah, I almost. I started training summer of 2021.
Okay.
Having matches like fall of 2022.
I had my first match September of 2020.
Yeah. I'm currently, I think I just had my 272nd match. Yeah, 272nd match this weekend.
That's sick. By the way, congratulations, because that's fucking massive.
I should be finishing the year off at like 276, and I'll have hit like, I think I'll have had like 125 matches for the year. Like
wow.
Yeah, it's sick. The biggest thing, so can you say the question one more time? I just want to make sure I got it right.
Yeah, what's the hardest lesson you've had to learn being in the business?
I'm kind of learning it at the moment. The hardest lesson is that timing is really everything. And sometimes timing just doesn't work for you. It works against you. However, that just means that whatever you thought you were meant for, if it didn't happen, you simply weren't meant for it. And that's a hard pill to swallow, right? Because you work really, really hard and you're like, oh, I deserve this thing, or, oh, I've worked really hard and I feel like I've earned this thing, but you're not owed anything in wrestling. Wrestling is a very take. And sometimes, if you're lucky, it'll give you something. However, it gives you the opportunity, gives me the opportunity to perform and do the thing I love most. So I guess if I just have to keep being patient before I am rewarded, I just got to keep being patient. I had a conversation recently because the thing that I love the most, like if I were to ever go back and tell myself when I started one thing, make sure that I know one thing Anthony Green taught me or told me late like 2021, late 2022. I think it was late 2022. Yeah, late 2022. He said, nothing in wrestling matters until it matters. And man, it's so profound because it's come up lately. Because lately I've traveled a lot across the world, not across the world, across like the nation, the United States. Traveled from here to California. I literally went from California. I went from here to California to Pittsburgh to North Carolina, back up to Philly, all in a span of 4 days. Via flying, via driving, via whatever way I could get there. Um, and I've done things similar to that, not quite the extent of going all the way to California, but like I've driven from Iowa to PA to Vermont back to PA within 5 days. There's so many things there's so many big travel days that I've had where I've gotten nothing for it. Nothing. Zero. But lately I've had just some really good opportunities come my way. And I've had really good conversations with people telling me, and these are like promoters who are telling me that they're seeing what I'm doing. And I just got to keep doing. I just got to keep doing. I got to keep hustling because they are seeing it and they support me and they want to utilize me in the future. And it's like, okay, I'm doing something right. They are seeing it. It doesn't feel like it. But while I'm sitting there doing all these things and I'm wondering, man, this doesn't matter. You're right. Right now it doesn't. Until it does. And then when it does, you'll be glad you did it. So what I'm trying to do right now is be glad that I did it in the moment. I'm glad that I'm doing these things. I'm glad that I'm making these rounds, making these towns, working as much as I can, even if it's for not as much as I should be getting paid for. Because sooner or later it's all gonna come around. Karma is incredibly real. And you're gonna get from the world what you put out into it. And right now it's just I'm trying to be this beacon of positivity, this beacon of hope, this beacon of passion. So with that really hard lesson of like timing and this is all going to be really, really hard, it's all going to be worth it, you know?
100%. 100%. And patience is key. Like, you know, what they always say is that it's all about preparation. Like, you know, especially with the timing part of things, like if you just stay ready, like you don't ever have to get ready. So when the moment appears, like you can just walk through the door and you're good to go. So yeah, 100%. I'm down with that. And the funny part is that I hope you guys get to see it too. Like I can feel the passion like of what you want to do in this business, and then I see it in the ring. So like I'm well aware of like where you are, and I'm like, my man got this. Like he got this. And then like that's why I low key I be supporting from like way beyond. I'm just like, yeah, what up, man? I'm up in Massachusetts, still just supporting you, bro. Like, yo, keep going, just keep running. Yo, let me pop this over to my favorite part of the 3 Count podcast, which is the 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions. Here's how it works, Mr. Underwood. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. Whatever your answer is what is your answer.
All right.
So I'm gonna put on an imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And in the words of my favorite commentator, Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
Eddie and the Cruisers.
Let's go. Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles.
Favorite cartoon?
Dragon Ball Z.
Let's go. Human Torch or Zuko?
Zuko.
Favorite TV show?
Avatar: Last Airbender.
Let's go. Marvel or DC?
DC, despite Spider-Man being my favorite superhero.
I like that though. Anyways, that's fair. Favorite podcast?
Chris Van Vliet.
Insight is great. He's also been on this show too.
Wow, that's sick.
Yeah. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Ricky Price, my twin, I guess.
Let's go. And last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this podcast: favorite curse word.
The word I want you to bleep out.
A good F-bomb is necessary. It can be used as every word in a sentence if you want to. So I 100% agree with you. I love it.
You can use it anywhere.
Anywhere for anything. Like that's the greatest part about that word.
My favorite thing is when I say like whatever the F word, like just whatever the. I'm not saying.
It's fine. It's fine.
I like to blurt out one. You know, I don't need you to blurt out 100.
I like to include it into other words, so it'd be like absolutely.
Yeah, like, me too, dude. I don't understand why people don't do it more.
Yes,
it's meant to be that way. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I can argue about that all the time. I don't have to argue about it with you, but I can argue about
it. So those are all my questions I have for you. So the last thing I want you to do is let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
You can find me on all forms of social media at Juni Underwood Pro. On Twitter, though, it's Juni Underwood FS. FS being short for Firestarter. You can look me up on Brainbuster Tees as well if you want to get any merch, etc. Yeah, that's it.
Bad. Well, he told you where you can find him. He even told you about his merch store, so you know what to do. Go pick up his merch. And like every great part of a wrestling match, we gotta take this home, because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the band that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And like every good Sherpa, it's never about me. It's about who's into the ring. So who's into the ring? You see the fire starter right there, Juni Underwood, and you guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there, or you're legitimately follow us on all of our social media platforms. They're right there below, so you can do that. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're following us on Spotify. You're even checking us out on Amazon Music. You're listening to us on that dumb app with this stupid jingle that goes, iHeartRadio, or whatever it is. You're checking us out on ProWrestlingTees.com. You're even buying our merch on ForYourWear.com. You're doing all that stuff, or really, you're telling your mom about us, your dad about us, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your best friends, and your enemies, because we love haters too. You're doing all the things, or really, you're just kind of waiting for this episode to end, waiting for that outro, and then choosing another episode to listen to. Kawaii. What's up? It is your friendly neighborhood Red Dog, and thank you for checking out this episode of the 3 Count Podcast. Whether that was Chaz Friends, Red Dog Friends, Damien Friends, The Films Lounge, Now Into the Ring, Now Entering 201, or Now Returning to the Ring, all those good episodes, you should really be liking, commenting, and even sharing this with your friends, family, whoever it may be. But what you all should be doing is checking us out on all of our social media platforms at 3 Count Pod, whether that's on IG, Twitch, you can check us out on Threads, whatever it may be. And if you go check us out on X, it is 3count_pod. Check us out on YouTube, as well as Facebook, on Rumble, on Apple Music, on Spotify, all those fun things. Tell your mom about us, your dad about us, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, and your best friends and your enemies, because we love haters too. Do all that stuff, and then, last but not least, buy our merch on ForYourWear.com or ProWrestlingTees.com. Kawaii. What's up? It is your friendly neighborhood Red Dog, and thank you for checking out this episode of the 3 Count Podcast. Whether that was Chaz Friends, Red Dog Friends, Damien Friends, The Films Lounge, Now Into the Ring, Now Entering 201, or Now Returning to the Ring, all those good episodes, you should really be liking, commenting, and even sharing this with your friends, family, whoever it may be. But what you all should be doing is checking us out on all of our social media platforms at 3 Count Pod, whether that's on IG, Twitch, you can check us out on Threads, whatever it may be. And if you go check us out on X, it is 3count_pod. Check us out on YouTube, as well as Facebook, on Rumble, on Apple Music, on Spotify, all those fun things. Tell your mom about us, your dad about us, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, and your best friends and your enemies, because we love haters too. Do all that stuff, and then, last but not least, buy our merch on ForYourWear.com or ProWrestlingTees.com. Kawaii.